There's a difference between wanting to succeed and wanting to be seen as someone who's succeeding. And most people, though they'll never admit it, would rather look successful than actually be it. They would rather wear the illusion than live the reality, because the illusion is faster, cheaper, and it comes with applause. You say you want success, but what is it you chase? The results? Or the reaction? The trophy? Or the photo holding it? Be honest. How much of what you do is for the thing itself? How many hours do you spend chasing numbers, titles, likes, claps, tags, aesthetics, approval? Because deep down, you don't want to grind in silence for 10 years with no one watching. You don't want to go unnoticed while building something no one understands. You want to be seen. You want them to say, "Look at them." You want proof. You want public validation. And there's nothing wrong with being appreciated. That's human. But when visibility becomes the goal instead of excellence, when recognition becomes the drug instead of purpose, you become addicted to performance, and you forget what success even is. You start to build your life like a movie trailer, quick, dramatic, loud, perfectly edited. But trailers aren't real. They're curated, condensed. And just like a trailer, your success begins to feel empty when there's no substance behind the image. So here's the uncomfortable truth. If no one ever saw you do it, would you still want it? Would you still write the book if it sold no copies? Would you still run the business if it never made headlines? Would you still build the body, the craft, the legacy, if no one clapped? If the answer is no, then you don't want success. You just want to be seen succeeding. And that realization is where the work begins. We live in a world where visibility is more valuable than truth, where the currency of attention has become more important than the foundation of integrity. And in this new economy of eyes and clicks and virality, something devastating has happened. Ambition has been hijacked by performance. At first, your dreams were pure. You wanted to write. You wanted to paint. You wanted to build. You wanted to run that business because you loved the idea of freedom. You wanted to work on yourself because you longed to become more. But then something changed, slowly, quietly, without warning. You started measuring your progress by how many people were watching, how many followers, how many likes, how many claps. And before you knew it, your identity wasn't shaped by what you built. It was shaped by how it was received. You used to want impact. Now you want engagement. You used to want craftsmanship. Now you want clout. And it's not your fault entirely. You were trained into it. From the moment you touched a phone, you were conditioned to crave feedback loops. Post, wait, refresh, hope, repeat. Your brain became addicted to the feeling of being noticed. Not loved, not understood, just noticed. Because even fleeting attention felt like confirmation that you existed. And now? Now your ambition isn't yours anymore. It's become a theater, a performance. You've started choosing what looks good over what is good. You're not reading books unless you can share them. You're not working out unless someone sees the progress. You're not taking risks unless there's a real worthy ending. It's why so many people plateau. Because real success, the kind that changes your life, demands long, lonely years of no applause. But if you've built your identity around being seen succeeding, then the moment the spotlight turns off, you quit. Because if no one claps, it doesn't feel real. This is the lie that's killing your greatness. It convinces you that success is a highlight reel, that if you're not being praised, you're not making progress, that visibility equals value. But think about the greatest minds in history. Do you think Nikola Tesla cared about likes? Do you think Van Gogh painted for applause? when he died before anyone even valued his work? Do you think Epictetus, born a slave and crippled by circumstance, spent his days chasing attention? Number. They lived in truth. They chased mastery. They pursued something real, even if no one watched. That's what you've forgotten. You've been tricked into thinking that if your journey doesn't come with a cheering audience, it's not worth walking. But the opposite is true. If you can grind in silence, if you can build in darkness, if you can keep going even when no one sees you, that's when your success becomes unbreakable. Because now it's real, now it's yours. Let this be your wake-up call. You are not here to be admired. You are here to become. And becoming is a private journey. The spotlight might never come, but if it does, it should arrive at the end of your work, not the beginning. It should be a byproduct of excellence, not the goal of effort. Because real success, it doesn't beg to be seen. It simply is. There's a hidden hunger inside you, a craving that whispers every time you open your phone, every time you share something, every time you glance sideways to see who's watching. It says, "Tell me I matter. Tell me I'm doing well. Tell me I'm not wasting my life." And so you post, you share, you perform, you build an image of success, carefully designed for validation. Because the truth is, success itself isn't satisfying to you anymore unless it comes with proof. And that proof? It's always external. You don't feel like you're in shape until someone compliments your body. You don't feel like you're smart until someone quotes you or reposts your ideas. You don't feel accomplished until someone you admire acknowledges you publicly. But here's the trap. The moment your self-worth becomes tied to the eyes of others, you become a prisoner of their attention. Every high becomes temporary, every victory hollow, every achievement incomplete, because now you need the world to reflect back your value before you can believe it yourself. And when they don't, you question everything. You wonder if you're falling behind. You wonder if it was all a fluke. You wonder if maybe you were never enough to begin with. This is the validation loop. It doesn't just steal your joy, it reprograms your identity. It teaches you that the mirror isn't inside you anymore. It's out there, in the audience. But the audience is fickle. One day they'll cheer. The next day they'll scroll past you like you never existed. Because the internet has no memory. And the people you seek approval from, they're too busy chasing their own. So now you're stuck. Tired, burnt out, constantly reaching for more visibility. Because the last time you felt good, it wasn't from the work itself. It was from the reaction it caused. And you keep chasing that feeling like a ghost. Like a hit of a drug that never lasts long enough to heal the ache underneath. But you were never supposed to live like this. You were never supposed to create for permission. You were never supposed to grind for praise. You were supposed to become so rooted in purpose that the outside world couldn't touch your core. You were supposed to be fueled by something internal, something sacred, something that didn't flicker with trends or fade with silence. Because true confidence, true peace, true success, it has nothing to do with being seen. It has everything to do with seeing yourself clearly. And right now, you don't. You don't see the version of you that shows up every day even when nobody notices. You don't see the version of you who's grown stronger through failure, wiser through pain, and more real through solitude. You're too distracted by the noise, and that noise is keeping you small. It's keeping you chasing applause instead of building legacy. It's keeping you addicted to attention instead of addicted to mastery. It's making you afraid of silence, when silence is the place where greatness is born. So if you want to escape this loop, You have to unplug from it. You have to detach your self-worth from visibility. You have to do the uncomfortable thing. Keep going, even when no one claps. Because that's when you find out who you really are. Not when the world sees you, but when you finally see yourself and it's enough. Not when they say you've made it, but when you know you're making something real, with or without their permission. That's not just success. That's freedom. You don't realize what this obsession is stealing from you. It's not just your energy, it's your life, your time, your peace, your ability to actually live instead of perform. Because when you're chasing the image of success, you're not building a life. You're building a brand. A brand version of yourself, polished, curated, always on, always ready for an update, a caption, a clap. And what do you sacrifice to keep that version alive? Real moments, real rest, real people. You sit at dinner, but you're not there. You're checking who liked your last post. You achieve something personal, but before you even feel the joy, you're thinking about how to announce it. You look in the mirror and wonder not who you are, but how they see you. This mindset robs you of presence, and without presence, nothing feels real. Even your happiest moments feel incomplete because they were never just for you. They were staged for validation. And worse, this illusion begins to bleed into your relationships. You stop being fully human with others. You become a highlight reel even in your closest connections. You only show them your wins, never your wounds. You tell the version of the story that makes you look strongest, not the one that makes you feel most seen. And then you wonder why no one really knows you. You wonder why you feel alone. Even when everyone is watching, it's because they're watching the mask, not you. The more successful you look, the more disconnected you become. Because somewhere along the way, the people who loved you for who you were got replaced by people who love you for what you post. You lost the people who saw your soul and gained followers who only see your filters. That's not connection, that's performance. And the cost? It's quiet, but deadly. You start waking up tired, even when you've rested. Because living a life that isn't real drains you in ways sleep never can. You start feeling behind, even when you're ahead. Because someone always looks richer, hotter, faster, louder, and you're comparing your life to their marketing team. You start feeling like nothing you do is ever enough. Because your goals were never yours. They were born from someone else's feed. This is the hidden burnout. The kind that doesn't come from doing too much, but from doing everything for the wrong reasons. It's the burnout of living for the photo instead of the experience, of chasing applause instead of peace, of building a life that looks good on paper, but feels hollow in your chest. And here's the truth that's hardest to face. You will never feel fulfilled if your success doesn't belong to you. If it was built for them, if it was shaped to impress, to prove, to convince, then even when you get it, it won't feel like home, because it wasn't made for you. But there's another way. It's quieter, it's slower, it's lonelier at first, but it's real. It's when you start doing things for the love of the process again. It's when you create something and don't tell anyone, not because it's not good enough, but because it was sacred. It's when you learn to sit with yourself, not your brand, not your profile, you, and be proud of what you've built in silence. This is when your life shifts. This is when you realize peace doesn't need an audience, joy doesn't need a caption, and growth doesn't need to be witnessed to be valid. You begin to see that the people who really matter don't need the performance. They love you at your rawest, your most unpolished, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are when no one's watching. And once you reclaim that, once you remember that real success is quiet, internal, and deeply personal, you begin to live again. You stop sprinting, you stop checking, you stop comparing. And for the first time in a long time, you feel something rare, wholeness, the kind that can't be posted, only lived. So what does real success look like? It's not loud, it's not glamorous, it doesn't demand attention. Real success happens in rooms where nobody claps. It happens in early mornings, in lonely nights, in silent decisions that no one ever thanks you for. It's invisible at first, unsexy, slow, but it's yours. Because real success isn't about being seen, it's about being aligned. Aligned with your values, aligned with your purpose, aligned with a future you're building. Not for show, not for praise, but because it's what your soul needs to become whole. And that kind of success, it doesn't need witnesses. You'll know it's real because it still matters when nobody's watching. You'll still train, you'll still write, you'll still build, you'll still grow, even when it's silent, even when it's thankless, even when nobody texts you, "I'm proud of you." Because now it's not about proving anything. It's about becoming someone you can respect. There's a kind of peace that only comes from this level of clarity. A confidence that doesn't need to be dressed up, explained, or posted. And it changes how you move through the world. You stop rushing because there's nowhere to get to anymore. Just more of yourself to uncover. You stop competing because someone else's timeline no longer defines yours. You stop explaining because your life speaks for itself. You start working not to be admired, but because the work is the reward. And that's the turning point. Because the truth is, if success must be seen to matter, then it's not strong enough to survive in the real world. It's like a flower that only blooms when people are watching. It looks alive, but it isn't rooted. Real success is underground for years. It's the roots no one sees, the work that doesn't get celebrated, the sacrifices that never go viral. And yet, that's what makes it indestructible. So how do you reclaim that? You start small. You ask yourself the question that burns. If no one ever saw this, would I still want it? And you answer honestly. You strip the outcome from the identity. You separate "I'm worthy" from "they approved." You stop announcing every step of the journey, not because it's not worth sharing, but because you are worth more than the applause. You take a break from the noise, from the scrolling, from the subconscious comparisons. You return to your own voice, the one that used to dream before it was interrupted by algorithms. You remember that some of the most powerful moments in your life were quiet, not documented, not praised, but unforgettable. Like when you kept going, even though you wanted to quit. When you got rejected and still showed up. When you gave without getting credit. When you told the truth, even though it cost you something. That's success. Not the post, not the praise, the person you became. And once you shift into that mindset, everything changes. You realize that being seen is nice, but it's not necessary. That going viral is exciting, but it's not valuable. That being known by millions is meaningless if you're still a stranger to yourself. So stop trying to impress a world that's addicted to spectacle, and instead, build something sacred. Build habits that no one can take from you. Build relationships rooted in truth, not aesthetics. Build a mind so strong it can't be swayed by trends. Build a life that doesn't crumble when nobody's clapping. Because when the lights go off, when the applause fades, when the world turns to the next trending name, you'll still be here, rooted, real, peaceful, powerful. And that's what success was always supposed to feel like. If this video made you uncomfortable, good. Because discomfort is the beginning of awakening. It means something inside you recognized the truth. That part of you, the part that's tired of pretending, tired of chasing, tired of curating an image, is finally ready to come alive. And the truth is, you don't need to be seen to be successful. You don't need to be known to be valuable. You don't need applause to be proud of yourself. What you need is clarity, is honesty, is ownership. Own your goals again, not the ones the world told you to chase, but the ones that matter when the room is quiet. Rebuild your definition of success until it feels like freedom, not pressure. Until it gives you peace, not performance anxiety, until it grounds you instead of exhausting you. You don't owe the world a performance. You owe yourself a life you don't have to escape from. And that kind of life, it starts when you stop doing things for the claps and start doing them for the quiet pride of knowing, I'm becoming someone I deeply respect. So walk away from the noise. Let them chase likes. Let them fight for attention. Let them live for the spotlight. You're building something real. And one day, when the noise fades, when the trends change, when the audience forgets, you'll still be here, rooted, fulfilled, unshakable, because you didn't build your life to be seen. You built it to be true. Let me know if you'd like a clickbait title redesign, thumbnail image. Describe